Yo, yo, can you guys hear me? There we go. I hear myself on my mobile phone. We good to go. Fuck my life, dude. This was the least amount of fun I have ever had in my life, dude. This was fucked. Everything's fucked, is what it is. Everything. Um, like, can we just not do this? I just don't want to do this ever again. Mm, I'm just changing the properties here so that it actually works again. All right, let's hope that it was just a driver issue and not some kind of much bigger fucking issue that's gonna break in. Roya, how you doing? Oh shit, wait, what? Oh no, never mind. That doesn't need to do anything. Wait, does it need to do something? System. What is the system? The system is what we stream to. That's fine. I think it should just be default. If it keeps popping, most likely the headset cable is shorting. I don't know, Z Vengeance. Like I said, it literally started happening as I updated, like literally like hours after I installed Windows 11. It started doing this, and it's been doing it on and off for a bit now. At first, I thought the voice is funny, like in a tunnel. Wait, really? Um, the sound is bad, but why? I haven't changed anything. Um, okay. Two sources, I think. No, it's not supposed to. Hold up. I'll check. Check if something's changed. Wait. Why is the voice? Okay, I know exactly why this is happening now, but it should not happen. How about now? Is it better now? Okay. Okay. Now we have to see if you guys hear any other sounds. I fucking can't do this. Can you guys hear that sound?
The 9950X after a hell of a long week working on Zen 5 efficiency tests.
Can you guys hear that? Yeah, you can hear that. All right, cool. Oh, I'm so done, dude. I love PCs, but when something doesn't work, because I initially thought that it might be vaping. I thought that maybe the vaping liquid somehow got onto the motherboard and it's causing the shorts. The problem with that theory, while a decent theory, if it is causing the shorts, it would consistently cause the shorts. It wouldn't change, right? Because it's plus, as far as no glycerin shouldn't short the PC. Um, Technically, it should not be able to. It can probably, but it rarely does. But if it was shorting the thing, it would always short the thing. So it would never stop shorting. The fact that it's on and off is very awkward. It'll do it for a while and then it will stop doing it for a while. Anyways, thanks so much for those of you that stuck around, literally for as long as you did, waiting for me to come back online. I appreciate you. Like 2 centimeters of nicotine dust from a heavy smoker, and it was still working somehow. Yeah, but vaping, I must admit, the one thing I hate about vaping is the substance it creates. The vapor creates a substance. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you can feel it on the walls and the cupboards and stuff. Yeah. Duras, how you doing, brother? USB power saving to be safe? Everything is turned off, Drew. Trust me, everything is turned off. Windows is not controlling my fucking power. I've turned that off a while ago already. One of the things that makes me actually hate... I don't know, Obi-Wan, but it's fixed now. But I don't know what caused the problem in the first place. But one of the first things that made me go, I hate Windows 11. I can't stand Windows 11, and Windows 11 needs to suck my dick, was this. Let me show you. Yeah, here we go. Hold up, I'll turn my camera on now. Don't worry. I know the cam isn't showing at the minute. You see this little efficiency bullshit here? You see that? This, as soon as I fucking saw this, I knew I am going to hate Windows 11. I am going to hate Windows 11. The fact that it's all now about turning down your power so that, you know, you don't use as much electricity. It's like, listen here, you fucking son of a bitch. I'll use as much electricity as I'm willing to pay for. Stop throttling my shit, you stupid son of a bitch. Bill Gates, suck my dick, you asshole. I hate that guy, bro. I will punch Bill Gates in the face happily, in order for this shit to stop. I will punch him repeatedly for this shit to stop. These would have a fun topic for next Mythic Buster instead of all the drama. Yeah, you think? Getting up with my tech friend so he can change the battery on it because I hadn't used it in a long time. He called me and was like, what the fuck have you done to this thing? It has scratches on the keys and the screen. There's so much less inside of it. What the fuck happened? I told him a little thing called the Beirut port explosion. Fuck, Matthew. Bill Gates sold Microsoft years ago. I don't think he sold it. He's still technically, he's just not the CEO anymore, no? I don't think he sold it. Did he? John, how you doing, bro? Missouri's corpse got up and went to Outland. But what do I know? What do you mean? After a few minutes of exchanging blows, however, Arthas overcame Illidan's defenses and cut him down. Illidan fell in the snow, badly wounded. Rather than finish him off, Arthas took his leave. Wait, why are we talking about Arthas and Illidan? Yeah, but fundamentally, all of this shit started under Bill Gates. Microsoft has become such a political fucking company, man. And all I keep asking is, stop. I don't want your efficiency nonsense in my PC. Just let my PC fucking be. Let it gobble up all the electricity that I want, whatever the cooling can handle, and fucking leave me alone. It's like whenever I see AMD and Intel boast about how little electricity their chips are using. I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up. How much performance am I losing because you're trying to appease your fucking WEF masters? I don't give a shit. If this thing needs 500 watts in order to operate fully, I want my 500 watts, you asshole. They put a fucking setting in there that allows people to turn on efficiency mode if they want efficiency mode. Give me my 500 watts. I'll cool that shit down. Stop throttling me with your nonsense. I don't care. I just want top performance. Whatever the thing is capable of, give me that. Minnie, how you doing? Thought Bill Gates sold Windows and bought billions of dollars of trees and shit. He doesn't buy trees. He said famously he doesn't plant trees because trees won't save the planet. I'll throttle Bill Gates. John, you and me both, bro. I will happily see the end of that man. I fucking hate that guy so much. In game, of course, not IRL. See, Vengeance, so I have a question. I have a choice. Global warming or playing games at 100 plus FPS? I want my games at 100 plus FPS. I don't want to be fucking on efficiency mode playing at 30 FPS because that's all the human eye can see. Shut the fuck up. Like, stop throttling me. Give me all the performance, please. The console person excuse, dude. That's still to this day the funniest shit I've ever seen. And never forget that that was from the games media themselves. The games media were the ones saying, stop complaining about consoles being locked to 30 FPS. The human eye can only see 30 FPS. You don't need more than 60 FPS. And it's like, what? Even when you said that, you were wrong. Like, we know for a fucking fact the human eye sees way more frames than that. What are you even saying? You'll be a good friend with someone I know named Rurikon. He loves FPS. I said, settle down. I've settled. I've settled it. Keep going, and I'll time you both out. Abaddon, what the fuck's going on, bro? Let them. I mean, if they want to have a debate about, like, I will say this. I'll just quickly step in here, and I'll set the record straight. Illidan did not die in Warcraft 3. It was never even implied that he died in Warcraft 3. Illidan was defeated by Arthas, but at the time that Arthas was defeating Illidan, the Lich King was basically at his last. He didn't have any power left, and he was going to lose control of Arthas. So when Arthas finally defeated Illidan, instead of killing Illidan, Arthas rushed to the top of Icecrown Citadel because Ner'zhul had to use the last of his power to basically force Arthas to wear the Helm of Domination and become him, effectively. So it wasn't... there's no conspiracy around that. We know for a fact that Illidan didn't die in Warcraft 3. 60 FPS, then I saw 140 FPS, and if I get a drop from 140 to just 90 FPS, it's just screen tearing galore. I can't stand it. My eyes are not that sensitive to changes in FPS, so whether I play on 60 or 144, I notice very little difference. But that is only because some people are more sensitive to others. Now, I notice a major difference if it goes below 60. So if it dips to like 40, I instantly see that. But as long as it's over 60, I mean, to be fair, I notice a difference, but it's not large enough that it bothers me. Like, I can see the difference between 144 and 60, but it doesn't bother me if I only have, like, for example, when I'm streaming, most of the games I stream in 60 FPS because, well, it would be a fucking nightmare if I didn't. OBS has issues with you streaming and playing in different frame rates, so yeah. Philippe, I genuinely don't know. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week, but we will get back to it. I promise this is not going to be one of those, we're never going to play it again. We'll see. We just always, today, we would probably have played a bit of Elden Ring, but we got busy with other conversations, and then my PC started fucking out, and that was a whole new issue. I'm surprised the YouTube stream is still up and running. Because YouTube can sometimes be a little fucked in that regard. Sometimes trying to restart the stream on YouTube is like super nuts. It won't work. So I am actually surprised that the YouTube one continued to work. But I guess it's back. Miracles, yes. My PC died. It wasn't the stream that died. It was my PC that died. Vathriel, thanks for the follow. Really appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you. You're far too kind. Is there something in ink out to win? Well, generally speaking, I don't mind YouTube streaming. YouTube streaming is perfectly fine. The only issue is if, for example, on Twitch, if the stream goes down, I can literally just restart the stream and it will just continue streaming, right? As if nothing happened. Everyone will just see the stream again. YouTube does this weird thing where once it's done, it turns that stream, that specific stream, into a VOD, like Twitch does, but then trying to restart the stream on the same thing just won't work. It wants you to create a new stream and basically say, oh, this is stream number 2. Because, yeah, sometimes it will just not send new data to anyone. So that can be fucking awkward sometimes. Is Kick really that bad? No, I don't think so. I don't view Kick as bad. I just don't think Kick is as big as a lot of streamers thought it was going to be. I think there were a lot of people that thought Kick was going to kill Twitch and YouTube as live streaming. And I always thought to myself, okay. No one else has been able to kill Twitch and YouTube, but sure, Kick is going to be the one. And they made a big splash in the beginning. I still think they went about it the complete wrong way. Because they effectively fell into the same trap that Microsoft fell into. Where they made a major play for a lot of the big names. But that's not how streaming grows. That's not where streaming will grow. If you want to make a play into the space and you have the money to make that play, what you want to do is you want to go look for streaming communities. So specifically Minecraft, for example. And then you want to find, say, 20 or 25 streamers that have very connected chats. So the viewers that watch the one guy will also watch, you know, say 3 or 4 of the others and so on and so forth. So you sort of look at communities within Twitch. And then those are the streamers that you want to target and say, hey, move over to our side. Because that will almost certainly have much larger growth than picking up XQC. Because, yeah, XQC is big. Don't get me wrong, he is huge. But the people that watch XQC also have other streamers that they watch on YouTube or on Twitch. And so all that's going to happen is they're going to watch XQC on Kick. And then as soon as they finished watching XQC, they're going to go to Twitch and watch their other streamers. Because all of their favorite streamers is still on Twitch. So it would be very difficult. I'm not suggesting that would be easy. But that would be the way to go about it. If you really wanted to make a play for Twitch's crown, you target the actual streaming communities that are built. That is organic growth, but slow. Buying big streamers might feel faster. Yeah, but buying big streamers doesn't have the staying power. You saw what happened on with Kick. You saw what happened with Microsoft, with Mixer. It came in with a bang, and then it sort of fizzles out. You know, as viewers, the novelty of it wears off. And because you don't have those strong ecosystems, it just kind of, you know, fizzles out. And then people just come back to Twitch because all of those communities that would have built a community and a culture over on Kick is still on Twitch. They didn't move to Kick because they weren't paid to move to Kick. Right? And so they're going to keep the Twitch thing going until the people get bored and come back. The Kick shitters going around being paced to society. The Uber shit doesn't bother me as much. I'm an avid software pirate myself. But the IRL streamers are just disgusting DJs. That I will say, the other problem with Kick is I'm all for free speech, and you should have as much free speech as you want. The problem is that a lot of their other things tend to have this weird approach of, well, even if you harass people in public, that's also considered free speech, and we won't involve ourselves. It's like, no. That is absolutely not what that fucking means. Yes, if someone says something mean on Kick, sure, fine, who gives a fuck. But if you go around harassing people, you should be banned. Because you're not just speaking, you're fucking harassing people. So I think Kick did a number on their name in that regard. By the way, did you see the YouTube CEO, Susan, passed away? Really shocking. She was only 56. Yeah, I saw that. Well, she was the CEO, right? She's not the CEO anymore, but she was the CEO. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know how to feel about that. It's obviously sad whenever someone loses their life, but at the same time, she was not a good person. As a CEO, I don't know what she was like as a human being, but as a CEO, she was fucking shit. At least, in my opinion. Epic Tulu, yeah, but remember, that doesn't mean anything. When people say, well, free speech only means the government can't take your speech, what people are arguing for when it comes to free speech is the principle of it. The idea that I should be allowed to speak, even if what I'm saying isn't nice and you don't like hearing it, I should be allowed to speak. Right? So for example, I'm a free speech absolutist. I believe that everyone and anyone should be allowed to say whatever they want. The more racist, the better. And here's why. So that I know who the racists are. Because if they can't speak, I won't know. But if you can speak and say racist shit, I can go, oh, that's the racists over there. Right? But I can maybe also talk to their community and be like, hey, bros, you do realize what this guy is saying is bullshit. And here's why. Here's this reason why he's wrong, this reason why he's wrong, this reason why he's wrong. And I can list the reasons why the fucker is wrong. But if I can't know what the racists are saying, how am I supposed to refute what they're saying? Right? I can't. And that's why I'm a free speech absolutist. To ensure that bad people don't grow followings because no one is there to say no. That's not true. Different state in 4 years, I guarantee that. The UK is playing a dangerous game. I will admit that. The UK is playing a very dangerous game. They are doing what so many others have tried to do, which is ban speech you don't like in order to get people to do the things that you want them to do. And that has never worked in the past. It's never worked for anyone. I don't know why the UK thinks it's going to work for them now, because it is my opinion. So whether you agree with the right-wing protesters or not, it doesn't matter if you agree with them or not. I think we can all agree that they have a grievance. They're angry, right? Whether you think that their anger is justified or not justified doesn't matter. I don't care. They are rioting because they are angry. They think the government has ignored them for X amount of years now, more than a decade almost, and they are angry about it. Then you have stories coming out of migrants doing X, Y, or Z, committing crimes or whatever the case might be, and this makes them angrier, right? And then they start rioting because they feel helpless. They feel like they can't make a difference, and the only way they can make a difference is by becoming violent, because as soon as people feel like their vote and their voice no longer matters, the next step is violence. We're going to make ourselves heard now. So what you're doing is you ignored everything they said to the point where they feel ignored. They started rioting because you ignored everything they said and they felt ignored. And now you are jailing them for the fact that they felt ignored and they were angry because they felt ignored. The logic doesn't track. The thing that you're hoping this will achieve is not going to be the thing it achieves. What it's going to achieve is more frustration. Those same rioters that were literally just rioting to try and stop illegal immigration into the UK might very quickly become so violent that they attack anyone that looks as if they might be a migrant. Because, and you've caused this. You literally caused this to happen. And once you get to the point where people have reached the end of their rope, the last thing you want to do is throw oil onto that fire. And it feels like the government of the UK is basically going, let's see how much oil this fire can actually fucking handle. Nagre, you can actually. Almost no civil war in the history of the world was enacted by the majority. Just keep that in mind. Civil wars are rarely enacted by the majority. They are enacted by the ones who are strong enough to pick up their guns. And in many cases, it's the minority that feels ignored, that feels as if their concerns are not being heard, that are the ones that pick up their guns and then force their will onto the people. Voting is violence. That's the funny thing that most people don't understand. Voting is the most eloquent form of violence because it's violence with a pen and not with a gun. But voting is violence. The very act of voting is imposing your will onto someone else. That's what voting is. I make a mark and thereby impose my will onto all those who made a mark in a different spot. That's violence. It stands to reason that when I no longer see a way out by making a mark on a piece of paper, I simply go to the next level of violence, which is to take the gun. And that way, force my will onto the people. Revolutionary War was 3% of the population. Voting no longer works. It's obviously rigged in the United States. I think it's rigged in many countries in the world. I don't think it's just the United States. This is why a good democracy is suitable for open and free countries. I think democracies work really well in incredibly homogenous societies. But if you think about America until very recently wasn't a democracy. I know a lot of people like to pretend like America is a democracy, but technically America isn't a democracy. Technically America is a constitutional republic. And the point of a constitutional republic is that it's meant to be community-based, right? So communities taking care of themselves. That's the idea. And the government's only job is to ensure that no one takes the rights of the community away to take care of themselves. Someone made the point the other day, I think it was yesterday during the video we reacted to, where the guy said, if you think back to the days of yore in the United States in the 1800s, if you wanted a bridge, how did you get a fucking bridge? You couldn't go to the government and ask for a bridge, right?
Oh,
The Beerson, thanks for the sub, man. 3 months part of the DJ Nation. Appreciate you, fam. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What did you do? You went to your town. You held bake sales. You collected the money, and then all of you got together and you built the fucking bridge that you required to build, right? It was community-based. But I would suggest that America, much like South Africa, you started putting more and more of your powers into the hands of the state, right? So you took the community-based approach and you started moving that to the state, saying to the state, instead, you do the things, right? You do the things that we require. And what ends up happening there is, while Americans like to say that they are a constitutional republic, I would love someone to explain to me what the difference is between modern-day America and a democracy. Because it seems to me, in a democracy, the majority vote for power over the minority. How is that not America today? How is that not literally America today? When the Democrats get into office, the Democrats impose their will upon the whole of the country, whether they were voted for by those people or not. When the Republicans get into power, they impose their will upon the whole of the country, whether they were voted for or not. So America has slowly become a democracy. Even if technically it shouldn't be, in my opinion, it has become that. Increasingly, you have presidents taking power away from the states. You have Congress taking power away from the states. You have Senate taking power away from the states. So the states in America really don't have that much power anymore, which was supposed to be the ultimate power, of the country. So the lines have become blurred over the years based upon different legislation that has been passed over the past 5 decades or so. True. Democracy is mob rule. Yeah, I agree with that. They only get into power when a majority voted for them. That's the basics of coming to power. If you were the UK, they got their labor from India when it came to helping build their train tracks as per their agreements with trade. In my opinion, America is actually an oligarchy run by all those unelected bureaucrats. To be fair, I wonder how much of the world's countries are actually oligarchies. I feel like we were all fooled into thinking we live in democracies or in constitutional republics, when in reality, this is the billionaires' world and we're simply fucking living in it. I'm not even sure they exist anymore, Massey. I know the Boy Scouts were basically winding up a few years ago. Trump got into office, all Democratic states denied the majority of his motions. Biden got into office, the Republican states did the same. Denied which motions? I mean, if a president were to sign executive orders, I don't think executive orders can be denied. I think it would be illegal to deny those. The executive orders are bullshit as well, by the way. Because it seems to me it literally circumvents the whole reason why, all of the other bells and whistles exist in the system. Everything the idiot box tells them. Overall, it made the experience that smaller countries work better, many times less bureaucracy, less complicated BS. Overthrow executive orders, and they did with Trump 4 years ago. You can deny anything until it's tested in court. That's how they do it. Wait, Parliament, America, you mean Congress, right? I don't know. I think I'll tell you what I feel. And I'm not selling this as the truth or fact or anything, because I have no evidence for it. But I'll tell you how I feel. I don't feel like people are in control of anything. I don't feel like when I vote my vote would matter. I don't feel like the government that was set up to be for the people, by the people, are for the people, by the people. I feel like my government is consistently doing everything in their power to favor those who were not voted for, who are unelected, and oftentimes the things that they want run directly counter to the things that I want. That's how I feel about the world. Nicker Tarkin, how you doing, brother? And I'm not sure elections can fix that, because fundamentally we would need politicians that is willing to give back their power. And I don't know a single fucking politician anywhere in the world that would be willing to give back their power. You hold the vote, you control nothing. Diablo 4. Correct. People are not represented anymore. Haven't been in many decades. True. And you can see that. You can feel it. You can feel the frustration from people recognizing that they're voting for a government. I'll give you guys a great example since we were talking about the UK. Again, regardless of how you feel about the issue. The Tories is, Labour and the Tories. The Tories literally ran on a platform of slowing down illegal immigration. That was the platform that they ran on. They told the British public, we are going to slow down illegal immigration into the United Kingdom. Under the fucking Tories, immigration increased. There was more immigration under the Tories after they made the promise that they would slow down illegal immigration. Now, if it is one thing to vote for a government that promises things that they don't deliver on, it is entirely like a different thing if I'm voting for a government that literally does the opposite of what it says it will do, right? That's a fucking whole different thing. Because you told me that you're going to lower illegal immigration, and yet you increased it. Like, how is that a fucking, how is that possible? Nagria, illegal immigration absolutely did increase. Absolutely. Under Tony Blair, illegal immigration stood at about 30,000 a year. It is current day over 600,000 a year. Like that is a marked fucking increase in illegal immigration. Now you can call that, you can call it asylum seeking, you can call it whatever. At the point of fact that 600,000 people flooding into your country every single year, that wasn't born there, right? No, but you don't understand. Seeking asylum doesn't work when the majority of people look at these asylum seekers and say, we don't want them here anymore. You can't say to them, oh, but these are, these aren't illegal immigrants, they're asylum seekers. The British public doesn't give a fuck. The people that are angry don't care. Asylum seeker, not asylum, you weren't born here, go back home. Right? And again, as I said, whether you like it or not like it, I don't give a fuck. I'm not passing judgment on the facts. I'm telling you what it is, how the people feel. And it doesn't matter if you think they're wrong. That's how they feel. And just telling them they're wrong isn't changing shit, because they're clearly not fucking listening. But they didn't vote, Nagria. I believe this was the lowest turnout of voting in the history of British politics, or at least close to it. Almost no one went to vote. Labour didn't win this election the Tories lost the election. If you look at how Labour won, Labour got less votes than they've ever had before. They got, like, the only reason they won is because the Tories did a fucking stupid job of doing of actually running the country. But at no point did anyone vote for the Tories, for the Labour Party, and say, yeah, we do want more asylum seekers. So the point of fact here is the people are not happy with the current system of politics. And it's important that you know why, and that people acknowledge why. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, right? Nagria, I will say, though, one of the clearest signs that you are about to experience one fuck-off civil war is political apathy. If people are just unhappy, but they're still voting, you're fine. When people should start getting really, really apprehensive and really sort of cautious, it's when the majority of people become apathetic. In every single civil war that we have observed, there's a guy that wrote a book about this, actually. I can't remember what the book is called now, but it looks at every single civil war that has ever happened in Africa. What they see right before the civil war breaks out, like a couple of years before the civil war breaks out, a complete and utter collapse in political participation. The public recognizes that the system is no longer working, and so they become apathetic to the system. The next step from there on forward is violence. My vote didn't work. No one was paying attention. No one was listening. Even when I did vote, nothing changed. So what do I do now as a person when no one is listening to my vote? I become violent. Now I'll force you to listen. And the first people that die in those are the people that the apathetic crowd views as their enemy. The political class and all their lackeys. So in other words, all the people that kept voting. They're usually the first people that die. Because they are the reason for all the problems. So it's very important that we don't go, well, you didn't vote, so shut the fuck up. We don't need to listen to you. They're going to make you listen. You should worry about that. The second they stop talking, that's when you should start going, fuck. All right, we have a problem. I'm about to be made to listen here. This isn't going to be fun. Yes, mate. Even though he starts at midnight for us, I'm always here. Oh, shit. Minnie, wait. Where are you? That's democracy for you? It's not democracy. Democracy only works if politicians are honest and open about the things that they're doing, and when they deliver on the promises that they make. It is not democracy when political leaders say one thing and then do the complete opposite of that thing. You no longer have democracy. You are on the fucking fast track to civil war, because now we're going to fix this democracy. In countries that voting is mandatory, civil war won't happen then? Oh, no, they do. In countries where voting is mandatory, what you look for is people who spoil their ballot. So, for example, I know a lot of the Scandinavian countries, voting is required by law. So what you would look for there is the percentage of people that spoiled their ballot. Because it means they're apathetic. They're only doing this in protest. They don't want to vote. They don't believe that voting will make a difference. And so they're purposefully spoiling their ballot in order to go, fuck you. Once that percentage gets high enough, and right now, based on history, it looks to about between 5 and 10%. When about 5 to 10% of a population reaches a point of apathy, civil war increases by orders of magnitude. Because pretty much only need about 5% of a population to feel one way in order to change the face of that society dramatically. Because the overwhelming majority of people do not feel strongly enough about their beliefs that they will pick up a gun to stand against the people, the 5 or the 10%. They'll just accept that this is the new normal and they'll go along with it. Right? And so if you just have about 5 to 10% of a population, you can overthrow the government. Titan Reborn, yep. No way Saudi Arabia of Europe. Once that oil runs out, they will be in big trouble. Rakan, that's not really true. Because Norway, actually for once, I'm going to praise the government. You guys know that's very rare here, but I will do it when it's deserved. Norway was probably one of the smartest countries when it came to discovering oil. They realized that it can finish, right? It can run dry. So what Norway did, less than, I believe, 10% of the entire Norwegian economy is built on oil. So if the oil disappears from Norway, their economy is still very strong and still very much able to jump, to just continue. It's not like the Middle Eastern countries, Venezuela, for example, where they based their entire economy on oil. Now, you do have a point where if we're talking about energy security, that could be a fuck up for Norway. But I feel like most Scandinavian countries have so much natural water resources that they already generate most of their electricity with hydro anyway, so they wouldn't really have a problem there. Abaddon, yeah, that's why I said, like, you're on point. About 30% of the population caused the Arab Spring. But that's why I said, the current thing is like 5 to 10% of people can literally force a government change at the end of a gun. Because again, you might have 8 million people in your country, right? So, let's take, how many people live in Europe? Not Europe, fuck Europe. In England. How many people live in England? It's like, what, 80 million or some shit like that? I know it's the most populous country in the world. And it's still taking more people than ever before. 67 million. So, let's say you have 7 million of that 67 million people actively decide civil war is the answer. Of the 60 million that is left, the overwhelming majority of them will not pick up a gun to fight the insurgents. They just will not. They won't stand against that 7 million. Of those that are left, that is willing to stand up and pick up a gun, half of them, or sometimes more, will join the insurgents, right? And either by fighting with a gun or giving aid to the insurgents because they agree with the insurgents' politics. They're just not willing to pick up a gun. So the side that actually resists the movement, it becomes very small, very, very small. Rakan, that's the part of the group that will not pick up a gun are the people that's neutral on the whole thing. They don't particularly disagree with the insurgents, but they also don't disagree with the insurgents, and so they just sort of remain apathetic to the whole situation, and they just go, you know what, I don't want any part of this. Do what you fucking must. And they're sort of, these are the people that will just give up, right? As soon as the insurgents arrive in their town, they'll just give up. they'll change the flag and they'll just go on, right? Because they don't want to fight. They don't want any part of this. They don't care. Of those 67 people live in England. The rest is in the UK as a whole. So actually, a lot of wealthy people leave the UK. Over 10k millionaires have left the UK in 2024 alone. Not to mention, if military units are weaponized against society will band together against that level of opposition when they see the gruesome results they're in. That is usually what happens. Usually at first, you have the government sending the military. The military, obviously, isn't trained to stop civil unrest. The military is trained for battle, right? For war against an enemy. So they treat the citizens of the country as an enemy. The people see this level of violence and the massacres, and then more people go, fuck this. This is bullshit. And that's when you have giant shit going on. Nagria, the police will never be able to handle... remember, we're not talking about someone with a gun. We're talking about 200,000 people with guns. The police is not dealing with that. The police doesn't have the resources to deal with that. You have an insurgency. These guys are coming for Westminster. You get the police in, but you also get the military in. The police gets overwhelmed. This is what happened in every single civil war. The police gets overwhelmed quick, and then the military is all that's left. And now the military is fighting their own people. Most citizens of a country does not fucking like that. Most citizens of any country does not like seeing their own military be utilized against their own people, even if their own people are using guns and shooting at the military. So very quickly you have people just sort of going, fuck this. This is disgusting. Fuck the government. It's a whole thing. It's actually very interesting to see the progression of civil war, going from no civil war into civil war. It's like a living organism that evolves to a set sort of path in almost every nation. The civil war would start, like a signal goes out, and suddenly every other Republican all over the country is now up in arms. I think it'll end it with a SWAT team. Epic Thulu, are you talking now in America? Now, those civil wars usually start with a single military group, so some kind of military unit or some kind of militia group that decides that they've had enough. This militia will then invade Washington, D.C. But usually, if it's done well, here's what these militia groups do. They befriend generals within the army, right? So this happened in Africa, in almost every African civil war. What happened was the militia groups would befriend they would basically recruit military generals. And once they have enough military generals on their side, so let's say there are 200 military generals, once they have 80 or 85 military generals, that's when they march on Washington, D.C. Obviously, the president and the government immediately tells the military, oh, fuck, we're under attack. But suddenly, most of the military doesn't respond. Because those generals inside the military are obviously recruiting other generals. So by the time the Civil War breaks out, most of the military is already on the side of the insurgents. They're not on the side of the government anymore. They're on the side of the insurgents. So the government is basically killed within the capital city or taken hostage or taken prisoner. And now you have an insurgency group in control of the government. What then happens is other militia groups take advantage of the chaos. Because remember, there's no government really. So there's chaos now. These other insurgency groups then start laying claim to their own areas. And this is where the civil war breaks out. Very rarely is civil war fought between the militia and the government. It's more often militias fighting amongst one another for territory and then the government trying to establish some semblance. Now, the government here would be, once these militias have taken out the government, the military now moves in, and the military basically declares martial law. So the military takes control of the government. So the military, or the government, is now trying to reestablish order against 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 15, 100 militia groups that are basically fighting a guerrilla war against the... So it is... Once that thing starts, it's almost impossible to put back. For example, if you look at what the Americans call their civil war, it is almost the exception to the rule. Very few civil wars play out this side versus that side, right? It's very rare that this side and that side fight each other and they all agree, we want this, you want that, let's fight. More often than not, that's not how civil wars are fought. John, no, I don't think it will be good. I think immigration is almost always tricky. The thing is, society is a very fragile beast, right? It's very difficult to build societies, and it's very difficult to maintain societies. And culture is fragile. If you make too many changes too quickly, culture can literally collapse under itself. So it's very important that when you make changes, you want to make those changes super slow and over time, so that the society can accept those changes, adapt to those changes, and then you can make more changes as you go. The problem with it's not that there is immigration into the West. The problem is the level of immigration into the West. And specifically, in many cases, the people that are coming into the country are people who are not schooled, people who are not educated. So these are people who they won't be able to work in the Western world. So for example, if all of those asylum seekers came to South Africa, that would be one thing. South Africa has a lot of need for unskilled workers, right? Or if they went to like developing nations, that's a different story. Developing nations have a lot of mines, a lot of factories, a lot of factory workers. So they need workers. Those people would fit well in those societies. The problem is that a lot of these unschooled migrants are going to countries like Norway, going to countries like Germany, going to countries like the UK, where unschooled labor is like almost not in demand. No one needs unschoored labor. I mean, the UK almost have no mines left, no factories left. So you have a bunch of people who are desperate for work, desperate for money, but incapable of finding that work because the host economy isn't capable of supporting that amount of unschooled labor. And then you talk about the different cultures. Different cultures, whenever we see in the past, different cultures collide, what fundamentally happens is war. What happens when you keep doing that over the course of many, many decades? And you're not allowing those cultures to integrate with one another. So it's happening at such a fast pace that no integration can happen. How does that affect it? So I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know much about the French Revolution, so I can't really speak about that, but I'd be happy to listen. I think it's reached its boiling point. I don't know if it's reached its boiling point. Boiling point would suggest that there's no turning back. I think you can still turn it back. I think it can still be changed. But you're going to need people to want to change it, right? Yeah, but Moki, the thing is with unskilled work in developing nations, it's much easier to skill someone for a job in a mine than it is to skill someone to become a data scientist. right? Or you take, for example, the UK's main export is finance. If you're not, if you don't have a degree in finance, I'm not going to teach you in a couple of weeks to be in the financing sector. How? This is a job that requires many, many years of dedicated study in order to do. So even if you were to say, someone said about farming, there's not enough farmers in the UK to support all of those workers. So even if you said there's a lot of need for unskilled labor, also the other problem with farming is that it's seasonal work. Farming isn't consistent work. Most farmers don't need that many workers throughout the year. They basically need them for 2-3 week periods at a time. And also, if you look at most of Europe, or most of the UK at least, most of their farming has become fully automated anyways. So there's very few farms that require that many farm workers at a time. So you'd run into issues no matter what. The military would never fight its own people, so the civilian side of the conflict would come to gain that equipment pretty quickly. It has to do with the toilet cleaning. Agriculture, is there no asylum or immigration? All your bankers need to work on fields again. Nagria, but that's a false equivalency. Because what you're suggesting is we need to take 600,000 asylum seekers a year in order for people to clean toilets. There's not that many toilets or cleaners required. So what are the other people doing? And also what you're discounting is that, and again, I want to be clear, I'm not making judgments here on anything. I'm simply explaining the situation. No one is saying that they don't want immigration. What people want is controlled immigration. What does controlled immigration look like? We had this. In fact, as a South African, I'm not allowed to come to England. As a South African, I can't just walk into England. They will literally send me on a plane right back. Why? Because if I want to come to the UK, I have to go through controlled systems. I have to prove to them I have a degree. Then I have to prove that the degree that I have is in short supply in the UK. And only then am I allowed to go, but I would need a sponsor, so I need a job that is already waiting for me so that I can get my visa so that I can move to the UK. That's how I have to do it if I wanted to move to the UK. Controlled immigration is one thing. In other words, the government says, right, we have a need for 50,000 unskilled workers. Let's open immigration for unskilled workers. Let's take 50,000 unskilled workers. Because we need 50,000 unskilled workers. That's fine. No one cares. The problem is if you only need 50,000 unskilled workers, but you have 600,000 unskilled workers coming every year, well, you don't need 600,000 unskilled workers. Why are you taking them? And what are they going to do? You can see it. I was watching this documentary about the situation that most of these asylum seekers in Europe find themselves in. And it is fucking horrid. Most of these asylum seekers, and I believe that most of them are really good people that genuinely saw an opportunity to move to richer countries. And yet most of them arrived in countries where they live in absolute squalor. They live in hotels that were once good hotels, but they're no longer good hotels. In fact, a lot of these asylum seekers are telling stories of not being fed for days on end. For days, they don't get any food, and they're not allowed to leave the hotel because they're asylum seekers, so they have to stay in the hotel. And why is that happening? Because there's just too many. The government can't take care of all these people. So you are basically committing serious human rights violations because you're saving people. But the question is, are you really saving people? Is that why Boer farmers were denied travel to the UK a few years ago? UK did not want them at all? I don't know about that story, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe. Although South African farmers are in high demand pretty much everywhere. So, for example, if you're a farmer in South Africa, there's a state in the US that will literally give you a visa and I think guarantee a loan to buy a farm. They'll guarantee the loan. Russia, farmers in South Africa are paid to move to Russia in order to farm there because South African farmers are phenomenal. Like, just the best farmers in the world. They I don't know how the fuck they do it, but they know how to go big. They know how to go super fucking big. Can we call them by what they are? Economic immigrants, not asylum seekers? Yeah, I have no problem with that. Because I do think the term asylum seeker has been changed weirdly. Like, it's become something of, like, it doesn't mean what it used to mean. Dying profession, and they don't make a lot of money typically. So maybe that, Exo Navy, that's why I'm saying to you, you don't want to see South African farmers. I'll give you guys a quick example. Do you know which bank in South Africa is the bank that moves the most money in the entirety of the country on a daily basis? It's a branch, an FNB branch in Polokwane. Polokwane is my old hometown. Do you know why that branch moves that amount of money every single day? Because the whole of Polokwane, the whole of Limpopo, the province within which Polokwane is situated, is surrounded by farmers. If I tell you, so the typical farmer in Vivo, which is where a lot of the biggest farmers are located, the typical farmer there will make anywhere from about $2 to $5 million a year. And that's just the potato farmers. I'm not talking about all the other farmers. That's just the guys doing potatoes. They are making fucking bank. Those guys aren't a little rich. They are filthy fucking rich. They make stupid amounts of money. So farming in South Africa is a very lucrative business. You are beyond rich if you're a farmer in South Africa. John Zolling, I remember that. Farms to remain. Vanexer, I know nothing about farming, so I would suck at it. But no, it's one of the reasons South African farmers make as much money as they do is because most of the rest of the world buy a lot of produce from South Africa because farming is good here. Not actually profiting like that. The loans and the equipment, labor costs are huge. So I personally know a bunch of farmers here in South Africa. I can tell you they make fuck tons of profit. Those guys live the high life. Also, remember in South Africa, there's no subsidies for farmers. Well, there are, but only for black farmers, not up-and-coming farmers, I should say. So the government does have a program to try and empower black farmers to become commercial farmers. And there are actually a couple that's doing super well now. I say South African couple meaning more than 10. But there's no real government subsidy programs in South Africa. The farmers in South Africa farm and they sell their goods, right? There's no such thing as the government subsidizing shit so that the farmers make more money from the government or anything like that. Goes to show, not all the same. There's real freedom in America. You can do anything like he could be doing here back at his home country, and we were both cleaning up jail cells and he was happy. There are probably smaller farmers like that in the US, Amish and local produce people. I mean, look, facts are, my worldview is that the overwhelming majority of people in the world are good. Sheep, but good. What I mean by that is the overwhelming majority of people in the world do not have ill intent towards anyone else. They just want to live their lives and be left alone. There is a tiny minority of people that cause a lot of problems for everyone else. And sadly, yes, that will reflect on the group when a minority of those people do bad shit, right? But I have no doubt that there are really, really, really good fucking people out in the world. Yeah, it's just what it is. Prince, so I'm not talking about good or evil from the biblical standpoint, because yes, we are all born into sin, and sin is the natural base state of every human being. I absolutely agree with that. I'm talking more about good in terms of, I want to go have a beer with my friends on the weekend. I want to get married. I want to make some money. I want to smoke some weed, whatever the fuck, right? Whatever normal people like to do. The overwhelming majority of people just want to do that, right? They don't really, like, they don't want to do harm. Let me put it this way. I don't believe that 90% of the human race is Bill Gates. It's rather put it that way. Someone like Bill Gates that genuinely has the most evil fucking ideas imaginable for humanity. I think 90% of people wouldn't, even in their worst fucking nightmares, wouldn't dream of doing the shit that Bill Gates is dreaming about, right? 95 to 99% of people just want to make it through their day. Yeah. I have a theory that aliens won't come to kill us because one day we'll kill ourselves, and the aliens probably live thousands of years. Shut off the power for a month and see how people act. Yeah, of course. Everyone has very much an innate ability to be very evil. Then they got you baited. That dude is bad. I agree. 100% agree. Bull started small is the funny thing. So did Bezos. But Exo, what's interesting, if you listen to Bill Gates' story, his mother was involved with the US government. His mother was something, either had connections with the US government or was working for the US government or some shit like that. When you actually look at his origin story, it's not him, grinding it out by the grit of his boot, pulling himself up by his bootstraps, as it were. Bill Gates' story is one of, having powerful family members that gave him a lot of, nice things and gave him a lot of connections in order to grow his business into the juggernaut that it became. So, yeah, I wonder sometimes if there are any billionaires that started out as normal people. I genuinely wonder about that sometimes. Actually, I should change my status there. I wonder if there are any billionaires that started out as normal people or made their money honestly. That is something I genuinely wonder about. Yeah, but Exo, the question would be then, who was Bezos' mom? Did he have an uncle? Did he have someone with connections somewhere, right? Upper middle class? Just left Dell and started Microsoft. No normal person could do that. The thing is, as I said, either they started or they became billionaires from like, having some money or connections in the first place, or just doing very evil shit. Look at Mark Zuckerberg, for example. Yes, Mark Zuckerberg came from, well, he didn't come from nothing. He was in fucking Harvard, I believe. But he started his business in his dorm room. Sure, it's a Harvard dorm room, but, nevertheless. But you look at all the evil shit he did to his friends and the people he stepped over on his way to the top, and you go, okay, it makes sense now that he is as rich as he is. Bezos is the same dude. Do yourself a favor, look into some of the history of Jeff Bezos. Like, dude, anyone that thinks Amazon is a good company need to fucking have their heads examined. Amazon has done some evil fucking shit, bro. The amount of companies that has gone bankrupt as a result of Amazon, just so that Jeff Bezos could grow his market share, is phenomenal. Like, it is beyond belief. The kind of stuff that Amazon does to people all the time. Millionaires who have connections? John Zillen, even if I was a billionaire, I would probably live a very middle-class lifestyle. I like the middle class more than I like rich people. And I've had the displeasure of being friends with rich people in the past. And knowing rich people, I don't like them. I don't like the pretentiousness of them. I remember once, I think I told you guys the story before, but I was once invited to like a super fancy restaurant. And everything on that menu is more expensive than what my food costs me in a week. And it was worse than McDonald's. Like, I would rather have a fucking McDonald's burger than eat the shit that they gave me there. Just weird flavor. It's like, what the fuck is this? Just give me a normal, nice steakhouse dinner. Just give me a burger. A double cheeseburger, double cheese bacon burger. I'm happy as fucking Larry. It doesn't have to be a gourmet bullshit. Just fuck you. Give me a burger. I'm happy, right? So even if I had $1 billion, I would still be living very much a middle-class lifestyle because the things I want, I already have. And I don't have much to begin with. My entire life is in this one room. I sleep on the floor. I have for about 3 years now because I'm too lazy to buy a fucking bed, and this one works just fine. It's not on the floor. I have a mattress that is like this thick that I bought because it was over Christmas and I couldn't get a bed. So I bought the mattress as a stand-in, and then it slept fine. So I just have the mattress and I sleep on that because fucking does the job. Why do I need a bed? I have my books here. I have some clothes in my closet, and that's it, right? That's my life, and I'm happy. I don't need much more. So yeah, like $1 billion would just mean I have $1 billion in the bank account that I never fucking check. So it's good. I could eat a burger. It's called an acquired taste. Acquire some money and it would taste good. I don't know any rich people, but I'm sure not all millionaires are assholes. Asmongold is also a millionaire, for example. The ones I've met, I'm not suggesting all millionaires, but there is a tendency amongst millionaires to be very hoi polloi. Very sort of holier than thou. And I fucking hate that. Like, I hate that. I hate the things that rich people like. I don't like the same shit. I hate the way they dress. I hate the way they care about like superficial bullshit that I don't think should matter to anyone. It's just across the board, I don't like rich people. Because they're the most fun. I'll tell you guys this. So I come from, I guess you could say, a tale of two cities almost. My dad's side of the family, almost all of them are super rich, very wealthy. My dad is also a medical doctor, so they make money. My mom's side of the family, poor, right? My two uncles do very well for themselves, but they work themselves up. from nothing into making decent money, but they're not super rich. My favorite people in the whole world is my uncle and my aunt. My uncle he's married to my mother's sister. They're my favorite people in the whole world. Salt of the fucking earth, bro. And they are very poor. They are very poor. They're not rich in any way, shape, or form. But you can give me... I will take an evening with them over an evening with anyone else. Because whenever you go to them, they're always smiling, always happy, always making jokes, always making you feel fucking happy, like welcome in their home. They go out of their way to make you feel welcome. Then you get to rich people and it's cold, it's distant, it's fucking formal. It's like, what the fuck am I here for? I don't like this. I'd rather be eating like fucking chips, you know, and have a good conversation, a good time, than eat caviar and deal with these people. So I don't hang out with my dad's family at all. Do you still live with your brothers? No, just me and my one brother live together. But my other brother moved out. He bought himself a flat, I think. You gotta spend all the money on living, so it's bullshit. There's a pattern where people who are rich end up pissing all their money away too. That's also true. The only expensive food I would like to try is Wagyu beef. I've had Wagyu beef before. Granted, not the fucking Japan ones. Like, not Japanese Wagyu, but I've had South African Wagyu. It's good. But it's a novelty, in my opinion. It's really good, but it's not really something that you can't have a whole steak, for example. Like, a whole steak is too much. If you're just having a couple of tasters, like, oh yeah, this is fucking great, nice. But if you gave me a choice between just normal meat and Wagyu, I take the normal meat every single time. I don't have a very developed palate. If I might use such a bourgeoisie term. The thing is, going to a steakhouse, Wisconsin trip, 22 ounces. People say the lower grade is better. I have no idea. I'm not that much of a connoisseur of food. I eat whatever the fuck is nice, and what I like tends to be cheap as shit. Nutty to me, having a rough morning. Arian, I'm so sorry. I do have to go, though. You fucking arrive as I have to go. I'm so sorry, bro. I have Bible study in about an hour, so I have to go. I'm sorry, Arian. I'm sorry. Wednesdays is always... That's why I normally don't stream on Wednesdays, because I have to cut it short. From next week, we'll be back on Monday, so don't worry about that. Then we can go for much later. But I have to go get ready for Bible study. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all of you for coming out. I feel the need on behalf of Mike to point out you yet again changed the schedule. I did, but I let you guys know on Sunday already that the schedule was going to be changing, so that is on schedule. But I really appreciate all of you for coming out, for hanging out with me, for spending time with me. I hope you had fun. I had a ton of fun, all of the PC issues aside. I really appreciate you guys for sticking with me throughout all of it. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place as always. So come check out and come hang out. Bible study is based. Enjoy. Zelos, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. I love the fucking Bible study, man. It is good. But I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out. And as always, be good to each other. Be kind to each other. And I will see all of you in the next one. Peace.